Time for Barrage the Farage. I know the names of the people. I've no idea what they're going to ask, which is why I've got Liam Halligan back, because he's a real expert. Let's begin with Ali, who has a question for us. Ali, good evening.
Good evening, Self-employed...
One moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a self-employed bookkeeper running accounts and payroll for small businesses around Salisbury Plain, I've never known such concern at the uncertain financial demands facing them. The family-run garage of 2 generations, employing 5 mechanics, has seen its annual electricity bill increase from £2,900 to £13,500, 465%. To what extent has the dogged pursuit of net zero contributed to many small businesses throwing in the towel?
Well, Ali, really interesting. One thing he was absolutely clear about, Hunt, today, was that our net zero targets aren't just staying, we're going to try and get there even more quickly. And that means lots and lots and lots of more lovely wind farms in the English Channel and in the North Sea. It means billions of pounds of our money being transferred to poorer third world countries to help them go for renewable energy. And it means that we're paying way too much for our energy, and it means the lights could go out in February. The one good thing I will say is that they are going on with Sizewell to build that nuclear power station, because that gives you reliable energy. It gives you baseload energy. This mob are utterly committed to net zero. They don't seem to even worked out that China built 80 new coal-fired power stations last year, that we contribute less than 1% of CO2. They are committed. Liam, he was pretty clear on this, wasn't he?
He was, and I'd agree with Ali that so many small and medium-sized enterprises are worried, and big businesses too, who have life a lot easier most of the time. What we're seeing at the moment is an investment strike by lots of companies. They won't invest because the tax environment is so high and there's so much uncertainty out there and a lack of confidence about how the economy is being managed. And it goes back to my earlier point, Nigel. Is it really right at a time when the economy is already stalling that we raise the tax burden even more on households and, crucially, firms as well? Yeah. That will slow the economy down further,
I'm very worried
less revenue, and will be even deeper in the fiscal hole.
No, I agree. Ali, thank you very much indeed for your question. Samantha is the next.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I hope I'm in good company with other small business owners. I'd like to bring up the subject of the fact that the Chancellor is holding the threshold at which businesses must register to pay VAT at £85,000 until 2026. It actually hasn't been increased since 2017, even though turnover for small business has been pushed up by government-introduced costs, such as minimum wage, which puts up holiday pay, sick pay, national insurance, and also business insurance, which is often calculated on wage roll. So there's been no give there. So it's actually one of the stealth taxes that you were talking about earlier. I find this shocking that this is happening and that it's stifling business. Is the decision to freeze the VAT threshold really a decision by a government who's genuinely encouraging growth?
No, it is not. And as I say, in 55 days, they've done a complete U-turn on the entire philosophy of what this government is about. And it's, when he defended it, he kept referring to the European Union and Europe. That we're not there. Well, the thing is, we voted, 68% in Southampton. We voted to leave the European Union, not to be compared to it. Quick thought on that, Liam, from you to Samantha, who feels very passionately about this.
The VAT threshold being frozen, the IHT threshold being frozen, the income qualification level after which you don't qualify for child benefit, the personal tax rate at 12.5 grand, the top rate of tax at 50 grand, the upper rate of tax being reduced from 150 grand to 125 grand. It's all stealth taxes, it's all frozen allowances. The government thinks we're too thick to understand it. I think the British people are far smarter than that.
Thank you.
And let's go to Sebastian. Sebastian, hello.
Hi there, Nigel. Yes, you mentioned this earlier. You talked a bit about brain drain, and it's a huge concern that I don't think enough people are talking about. We seem to be in an incredibly hostile business environment, and it's easier than ever for young people to want to move elsewhere. They can go to Portugal, they can go as far as Dubai, Singapore, and the tax incentives to go there are great. I'll never leave this country. I love it, every field and every hedgerow. But I know a lot of people will seriously consider whether they can see their future here, unfortunately.
Yeah, and, business has changed. And if you need to have a meeting, you can fly back from Lisbon in a couple of hours, back into a London airport. You can come for a couple of days. You can do that 30, 40 times a year and keep all the tax breaks that you're getting in Portugal. The rest you can do on Zoom because there's a bit of change of culture. The brain drain, really, very pleased you're staying, dear boy, but the brain, but the brain drain, Liam, it is a problem, isn't it?
It is, and I would highlight why so many people are thinking about leaving the UK, young people, as they did in the 70s. It's the cost of trying to get on that housing ladder, trying to get yourself a home. Something that was almost unnoticed amidst the tsunami of measures today is that the changes to stamp duty, residential stamp duty, which Truss and Kwarteng introduced, they're going to be scrapped after March 2025.
Yeah.
So the doubling of the rate of, up until which you don't pay stamp duty, 125 to 250 grand, that's going to go back to 125 grand. And the stamp duty holiday for first-time buyers up to 450 grand, it strikes me that's going to be scrapped as well. Almost uncommented upon.
Yeah.
But there will be many, many people under 30, part of a generation who are paying more for their housing costs, more on their rent, less likely to own a home than any generation since the 1930s. They'll be absolutely gutted about that, and someone on mainstream television has to point that out.
Good, you just did. Kevin is next up. Kevin.